What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90. Today it is time for the Week 4 Premier League predictions. Now, before we go any further, please do drop a like on the video. Last episode smashed over 250 likes, so let's shoot for 300 now for this one because the Premier League is heating up and it's getting exciting. I want to give a quick shout out to George Joseph, who left their predictions on the previous video and got some really good ones out of a pretty tricky bunch. Tottenham to win, Palace to win, Everton and Forest to draw 1-1, Fulham to beat Brentford and both teams to score, Leeds to beat Chelsea, Man City to at least concede against Newcastle, and Liverpool to at least drop points against Man United. I thought that was a really good effort with quite a tough run of fixtures. And also, the members, I want to give a shout out to all of you. I'll read out all your names, but before I do, they had a winning ACCA provided by me over the weekend. It was a little treble of goals. Fulham and Brentford, Leicester, Southampton, and Newcastle, Manchester City, all to have 3 or more goals in their fixtures. Odds of 5.13. So if you chuck a tenner on it, you won 50 quid. So shout out to all the members, which you will see here: Martin Eater, Black Mamba, Bill Clement, SK Soria, Keelio James, Lester Gills, Henry Muchiro, Bikash Udash, Chris Banjo, Ollie17, Prosper Oshonuga, David Mriz, Jesse Singh, Joe Astfalk, Clay Winter, and Milroy Sawyer. Thank you so much for supporting the channel and getting involved with all that content as well. If you do want to become a member, feel free to click the join button down below. If not, you can just subscribe so you don't miss any of the videos. Now, let's get in with some predictions. I'll tell you what, last week, even though we didn't get the Newcastle City result right, the tip flew in because I said Haaland would score, and he did. So keep an eye on that man. First up, we do travel to St. Mary's for Southampton up against Manchester United. Have Manchester United turned a corner? Have Southampton turned a corner? Both picking up 2-1 wins as underdogs in the previous week. Southampton away against Leicester and Manchester United at home against a leggy-looking Liverpool. Man United really putting in the hard yards, and if that's anything to go by, I think Manchester United are actually going to go back-to-back wins. I'm going to go for a close game. I think Southampton will score and Manchester United will concede, but I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to the Red Devils. My tip is Manchester United and both teams to score. If you're really looking for something crazy, maybe just stick a pound on it. Manchester United to win from behind. I could see them conceding first and then make a little bit of a comeback. Maybe Che Adams scores in the first 10 minutes. Man United go on to win the game. After that, we have Brentford up against Everton. I really liked what I've seen from Brentford so far this season. Unlucky not to get a result against Fulham, losing out in the last minute to none other than Alexander Mitrovic. I'm going to go for a home win here. Everton looking very, very poor this season, as expected, realistically. Still struggling with injuries, just struggling with the squad in general, and Frank Lampard's got to be close. Got to be close to getting the sack soon, I reckon. I'm going to go for a win for Brentford, 2-1, and my tip is actually going to be both teams to score at 1.8. In case it ends 1-1 or Everton managed to get a win. There's been a few upsets recently, so I'll try and keep that in mind. After that, a top of the table race for Champions League clash. Brighton up against Leeds at the Amex Stadium. Brighton looking very, very good. Graham Potter doing a fantastic job over there, despite losing arguably their 2 best players in Bissouma and Cucurella. They're looking like a real team, and I'm going to go for them to beat Leeds here. I think Leeds are going to score. Rodrigo's been in great goal-scoring form, top of the goal-scoring list, actually, I believe, with 4 goals. But Brighton at home, tough place to go. The wind in their sails. The Seagulls are taking this one 2-1. My tip is Brighton to win at 1.9, which was a tip I seldom tipped in previous years, but now they're looking very, very, very good. After that, we travel to Stamford Bridge for Chelsea up against Leicester, both upset, both losing to Southampton and Leeds. I think Chelsea are going to have to bounce back here, and luckily they're playing Leicester, who, of course, currently have hold of Wesley Fofana, Chelsea's #1 target. They got to get that done soon enough. I'm going to go for a Chelsea win here at Stamford Bridge. Tuchel is not going to accept any less. Leicester are looking awkward this season. I'm surprised they're not doing better. I'm going to go for a 3-1 win to Chelsea. My tip is over 2.5 goals at 1.61. If I went for that for the Chelsea-Leeds game, the tip would have come in, as opposed to backing Chelsea in any way. So I'm going for Chelsea to win in a lot of goals, but staying in the goals market for my tip. After this, it's Liverpool up against Bournemouth. No matter how weak Liverpool are, Bournemouth are not going to go to Anfield and get a win. There's such little value in this fixture that I've had to combine 2 tips. So I'm going to go for a 4-0 win to Bournemouth. And my tip is Liverpool -1 handicap and half-time, full-time at 1.61. You could go for a Liverpool -2 handicap at 1.8, but in case they win 3-1 or something like that, then I've gone, you know, half-time lead, full-time win with winning by 2 goals or more as opposed to 3 goals or more. But I think Bournemouth are really going to struggle against this Liverpool side, who need to bounce back. They're in 16th place and they're yet to get a win this season. After that, it's Manchester City up against Crystal Palace. Now, if this was at Selhurst Park, I would be tempted to predict a draw, honestly. I'm really, really happy with what I've seen from Crystal Palace. They look like a really good team. I don't have the balls to predict Man City to drop points at the Etihad. I wish I did, but I don't. So I'm going to go for... I've written down 2-1. Man City are ridiculously good, aren't they? You know what? Let's go for something a little bit crazy. I'll go for a 3-2 win to Manchester City. And my tip is Man City to win and both teams to score at 2.75. City look a little bit vulnerable. They don't look bad in any way, especially going forward and in possession. They look very good. But teams know, especially a team like Palace, they can get at them. Palace have taken points from Manchester City. The previous 2 meetings between the two, City haven't won. So if there's anyone that's going to beat Manchester City right now, I would say it's either Arsenal or Crystal Palace. Genuinely, and maybe Brighton. Arsenal, Palace, and Brighton would be my 3 candidates to be most likely to beat Manchester City right now, and Palace are one of them. So I'm going to go for 3-2 to Man City. Man City and both teams score at 2.75, but what a game that would be to watch. I think there's going to be a lot of goals. I think it's going to be very entertaining, and who knows, we might see a little bit of an upset. After that, we travel back to the Emirates for Arsenal up against Fulham. Another Champions League top of the table clash. Arsenal at the top, Fulham in the top half as well. Brilliant start to them in the Premier League, but away from home, away from Craven Cottage is going to be where Fulham struggle to pick up points, and Arsenal are very, very good at beating what you would typically consider bottom half teams. I know Fulham aren't technically currently, but Arsenal are very good at beating teams that aren't in the big 6 at home, and I'm going to go for that. Quite a conclusive win for Arsenal. I'm going to go for 3-1 because Fulham have been scoring goals, and there's been a lot of goals in Fulham games, so why not give them a goal? So my tip is therefore going to be Arsenal and over 2.5 goals at 1.8. That allows for a 3-0 win, and I was a little bit more confident of that than I was at my original thought of Arsenal to win on a -1 handicap. But obviously if they win 3-1, both of those come in, so take your pick. I think Arsenal are going to win. I think they're going to be top of the table still, and I'm very excited for the season going forward. Whilst I think obviously it's unlikely Arsenal win the league, I'm very confident that Arsenal can make a good push for top 4. Even with the Europa League to worry about. We're looking that good, and I'm very excited for the football going forward. And Fulham have got to be excited too. They started off really well. They've got to keep that momentum because momentum is everything. And points early on in the season for these teams that are likely to struggle when things get a little bit tight with fixture congestion and everything like that. It's very, very important you start off well, and they've done that so far. Now, after that, speaking of starting well, we have Aston Villa and West Ham, neither of which have started particularly well. West Ham are actually the only team yet to get a point in the Premier League, and they're also the only team not to score a goal in the Premier League. Wolves giving them a good go at it, only scoring 1, but we'll talk about them in a little bit. I think this is going to be a closely contested game. I don't see a way in which both teams don't score. Honestly, West Ham have to score. 3 games without a goal, you've got to score. Against an Aston Villa side that are struggling, that in my opinion are not better than West Ham on both their teams' day, I think it's going to be a close game, and I'm going to go for my first out-and-out draw, and only out-and-out draw of the week actually, a 1-1 draw between the two teams, and my tip is both teams to score at 1.66. Now after that, we travel to Molineux for Wolverhampton Wanderers up against Newcastle. Newcastle, in the end, blowing a lead against Manchester City, 3-1. They did very well to get themselves into that position, but unlike the likes of Manchester City when they're 2 goals up, instead of going for the jugular and pushing for more goals, it's almost as though they got 2 goals in front and thought, maybe we could defend our way to a victory from here, as opposed to continuing to pose the problems that they did with their offensive plays. They decided to take a step back, and by the last 5 minutes, when City was searching for a winner, it really was backs against the wall, and I think you've got to be a little bit braver in that scenario. Try and get a 3rd one. You are capable of doing that, and they went a little bit too defensive, in my opinion. I can understand why they did it, and in the end, they got what was a good point. I think they can beat Wolves here. I think it's going to be low scoring, but Wolves, where on earth is the goal going to come from? Newcastle have plenty of goals. I think Callum Wilson is one of the most underrated strikers in the Premier League. I'm going to go for a 1-0 win to Newcastle, and my tip is Newcastle to win at 2.7. Basically, the bookies don't know who's going to win this one, and because this game involves Wolves, it's likely to be low scoring, and that brings the draw more into play, which makes the result market very interesting to get into if you can side with a winner. So I'm going to go for Newcastle in this one. Final fixture of the game week is Nottingham Forest up against Tottenham, and quite simple. I'm going to go for another clinical, boring Tottenham win. Like they beat Wolves 1-0 last week with the Harry Kane goal, I could see them doing the same thing here. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to Tottenham against Forest, and my tip is Tottenham to win in under 3.5 goals at 2.2. I think Kane could score both. We might see a random goal from, maybe it's Kulusevski's time, but I think Tottenham are going to do enough to beat Nottingham Forest. I think it'll be a Tough one at first. I could see both goals coming in the second half, but Tottenham will win this game. So that is going to do it for my Week 4 Premier League predictions. So much to get through, and I've had an amazing time. And just a heads up, I am going away for 2 weeks this coming week, so I will record my Week 5 predictions tomorrow. I think actually I'll be recording Week 5 predictions on the day you're watching this, so I won't have the hindsight of Week 4 or anything like that. And then I think I will record Week 6 and Week 7 whilst I'm away on holiday, so hopefully you will still be able to get those videos. But nevertheless, like I said at the start of the video, please do drop a like. Let's shoot for 300. Subscribe so you don't miss any of those videos, and I will see you in the next video very soon.